I say this as someone who's had Paolo as the best player in his class since his junior year of high school, someone who's had him as the highest ceiling prospect in his NBA draft class, someone who's had him as the easy number 1 pick since the start of the 2021-2022 college season, someone who's claimed he has the most superstar potential of any player in the draft. I didn't even think he would ever be this good this early on. Paolo is playing like an all-star as a 19 turning 20-year-old player early on in his NBA career. It's only been 11 games, but what he's done goes beyond just a quote-unquote hot start. Obviously what stands out about Paolo is his frame and his athleticism. At 6'10", 250 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan, Paolo has the frame of an NBA veteran as a teenager. Now, he's not the first player we have ever seen enter the league at a young age with a big frame. However, what separates Paolo from other players with that kind of frame at that young of an age is the movement skills. Most players with a comparable frame to Paolo at the same age aren't great athletes. They aren't the most fluid, they're a bit slow-footed, don't have great lateral movement skills, aren't that flexible, and don't have great balance in creation situations on both ends of the floor. Paolo is the complete opposite of that as an athlete. He's extremely fluid, has good lateral movement skills, is quick in the open floor, and has incredible balance. His athletic profile is something that's closer to a 6'6", 210 pound guard than a 6'10", 250 pound forward, and when you have the rare movement skills in a player with a frame like this in general, it's special, let alone having that combination as just a 19 turning 20-year-old rookie. On top of that, just about every skill he has translated to the pro game rather seamlessly. Through 11 games, he's averaging 23.5 points per game, 8.3 rebounds per game, and 3.6 assists per game on a 55.6 true shooting percentage, and I'm confident that he can keep these numbers up as well. Now, this is a lot to ask of a 19 turning 20-year-old in his first NBA season. Near 24, 8, and 4 numbers are all-star numbers and maybe even all-NBA numbers depending on the context of the situation. But here's what's most encouraging in my opinion about his ability to keep these numbers up. And it has to do with his efficiency. Now, on the surface, a 55.6 true shooting percentage and a 46.1 field goal percentage seem pretty average, and not something you look at when you talk about encouraging scoring trends, to say the least. But for as odd as this may sound, Paolo's inefficiency is what makes me most encouraged about his chances of putting up these numbers over the course of a full season. In the 3 games where Paolo has shot below 40% from the field, he's averaging 20.3 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. So this is what he's doing during a cold game, and if that's what he's doing when he has a cold game, that's a really good floor for what it can be as a player statistically, given that I don't think he's going to have cold games all the time, even if he is going to have them because he's a rookie, but it's not going to be something I expect to be a majority thing, especially based off the early sample. It's weird to say, but Paolo not really having a hot streak to start the season makes me more encouraged about him sustaining high levels of play, rather than him going on a hot streak of high levels of play. He's had great games to start the season, but his bad games are also games that fit in line with what all-stars do when they have bad games production-wise. The great games are encouraging as well, I'm not saying they aren't, and they are very much a sign for what his ceiling is as a player. But his bad games to start the season have been more encouraging, in my opinion, especially when it comes to what his floor is as a player. And if his bad games are any indication of what his floor is as a player, it's safe to say that he has a super high floor on top of having a super high ceiling. To put how good Paolo has been into more perspective, he already has 2 games where he scored 30 or more points this season. That would be second most in last year's rookie class behind only Jalen Green. And mind you, Paolo has only played 11 games in his rookie season so far. Paolo also has 9 games where he scored at least 20 points this season, which would be 8th amongst rookies last year. Again, this is only after 11 games played, and he would be top 2 and top 10 in scoring feats among rookies last year who played a full season. This is how productive Paolo has been to start his NBA career. And on top of his statistical greatness, that is also mixed in with signs of struggles, but signs of struggles that show how high his floor is, his tape is even more encouraging in my opinion. Paolo on tape is a player that looks closer to a 10-year veteran than a rookie. From a physical standpoint, he's just bigger than everyone else on the court. He's a fluid athlete with insane basketball skills, which is a really good combination to have. His handle is really good, beyond just about every 6'10", 250-pound player I've ever seen, let alone one that's 19 turning 20 years old. And it's not just about the fact he's 6'10" that makes it impressive either. The handle is just impressive regardless of height. But the fact that he is this good with the handle at 6'10" makes him even harder to guard given his other skills. He's incredible at getting to his spots using his combination of skill and strength. He's really good at finishing around the basket. He's shooting 68.3% in the restricted area on 5.7 attempts per game. He's shooting 44.9% in non-restricted paint area on 4.4 attempts per game. In total, that's 58% in general when it comes to paint scoring on 10.1 attempts per game. His jump shot hasn't been the best, however. He's shooting just 32.7% on 11 jump shot attempts per game. I think the jump shot will come around eventually though. He has a good shooting form, has good touch in general. The free throw numbers are pretty solid. He's pretty confident taking jumpers. Again, he's taking 11 of them per game, and eventually I just think the shots will fall for him because I do think that there are too many encouraging signs for the shot not to eventually fall. And again, this is why I'm very encouraged by the idea of Paolo putting up these all-star kind of numbers as a rookie for a full season, because he's averaging almost 24 points a game while not being an efficient shooter right now, and he has plenty of good shooting indicators. It raises the floor for his production given how good he's been despite his slow shooting start. However, what I've been most encouraged by with Paolo is his ability to draw fouls, which when you watch the tape, it's very clear he's ahead of most rookies in this regard, not only from a recent history perspective, but a historical perspective as well. It's very clear that he also is somebody that hasn't fully mastered it yet, but he's getting very close and he's starting to put the pieces together. He's averaging 8.3 free throw attempts per game through 11 games, which is really impressive, and it's really based off his understanding of his strength and skill, which honestly is the foundation of Paolo's game in general. And the cherry on top of all of this is the fact that he's a good passer. The numbers may not reflect it all the time. 3.6 assists per game is pretty solid, but it's not the most outstanding numbers you'll see. It's not like he's averaging like 7 or 8 assists per game, but he's someone that can read the floor, be creative as a passer, and has an understanding of his scoring gravity, which is most important to me. Paolo is a player that screams all-star at the very least, and at his best, I think he could potentially even be a superstar, which is not something I throw around very lightly when talking about potential, but it's hard to look at his frame, his athleticism, his feel for the game, and his skills and think he doesn't have that kind of potential. That's how good he is. Someone that can put up 25 plus points per game, 10 plus rebounds a game, and 5 plus assists per game. Someone who can be the face of a franchise. Ever since the Magic traded away Dwight Howard, they have been searching for that next franchise player. This is a process that started when I was in the 6th grade, and it took until I was 21 years old, but they finally found that player. After years in the lottery and being a mediocre team at best, they finally found that franchise player, someone they can build the team around. And they've done a good job of building a team in general before they even drafted Paolo, trading for Wendell Carter Jr., who might be the most underrated player in basketball, drafting Jalen Suggs, who's had his struggles early on. I will admit that it hasn't been the most consistent. There have been bumps in the road, but he's shown promise this season. Drafting Franz Wagner, who is a perfect second start for this team, and maybe even taking a chance on Bol Bol can pay off in the long run, because I have been encouraged by the signs that he has shown this season, his first time getting real minutes. But at the center of all of that is Paolo Banchero, a player that fits everything you look for in a franchise centerpiece, which I think he will be for years to come. Well, I would love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think this is a fluky start? Do you think he's going to cool off eventually? Do you think Paolo will win Rookie of the Year? Do you think he'll win unanimously? Do you think he could be an all-star in his rookie season? These are all things I would love to hear about when it comes to Paolo Banchero, and maybe your thoughts in the comment section below about things about that and things about Paolo that maybe I haven't mentioned so far. That being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.